Remember that video I posted up? Now I'm ready to address it. So hey guys, how you doing? Now, yeah, I did say that I was going to post this hopefully the next day and so on. I just didn't get to it soon enough because, you know, I got caught up on some other personal things, but I'm okay. So yeah, I really want to get to the bottom of this because this has just been some bullshit that I've been dealing with every day, and it's been very hard for me to articulate how I could express or to vocalize these type of issues that I've been dealing with my father's side of the family for a long fucking time. So the whole point of making this video is to speak of the comparisons based on Spiritual Cowboy Girl's video with her mother, and of course of what I personally been through with my father's side of the family, because this is annoying as shit and I'm kind of over it. So one of the similarities that I did notice when I was watching that video was when her mother was mentioning about what happened to her mom. And prior to that, everybody was saying how her mother was like valedictorian. You know, she was very beautiful. You know, she was such a bright spirit. And that must have been what my mother was like prior to being with my dad. And then after being with him was when things went downhill. Now, I do recall the times when my mother and I actually conversed, and she would used to tell me that her own side of the family was telling her not to have anything to do with my dad, but for some reason she was just way too attached. And this kind of reminds me where I made a previous video talking about how my father's side of the family had done some, like, you know, juju or, you know, some spell work on my mother, where they had like used some type of like knot magic. Where I can remember at the time when my mom and I were actually discussing about this, she did tell me that it was probably the reasons why she felt like she was trapped. So like, despite, you know, the issues with their marriage where it was my mom being the breadwinner, having to take care of the bills, having to take care of us, you know, just while like my father was just there. He seemed like he was physically there, but he was very emotionally unavailable and never helped my mother, not once. I also did observe when I was younger that they did use my mother a lot, where it seems very parasitic or, you know, kind of gives those energy vampire vibes. Okay, so one of the most hardest timelines that I'm about to explain about was when I was 5 years old and my mom became addicted to Vicodin and Soma. Those were her favorites. Yeah, where I do really have a feeling that if it wasn't my father, it definitely had to be my aunt who partaken into some type of spell work into, you know, setting up my mother's downfall or just complicating the marriage between my mom and my father. And I can also remember when we were talking about her opiate addiction, her main reasons of doing so was because she just wanted the day to go by. It's much more deeper and personal, but it definitely had something to do with being married to my father. Okay, but for the meantime, that's as much as I'm going to say about my mom. Maybe in the next video, I'll talk more into detail about that. Matter of fact, there is so much to explain because it's not just with my mother and I. There's also some things that have happened with my brother and sister as well. And I am not going to be able to cover it all up into this one video. Though I do promise to mention about the tumultuous times of what my brother and sister have been through, and where I do feel like they're also responsible for that as well, because these people are fucking wicked. Now, another similarity that I was paying attention to when Spiritual Cowboy Girl was mentioning of being around that family and where she would used to be sick. Yeah, because when I was staying with my aunt back in 2021, this is when I got kicked out or evicted out of the place that I was staying in because of a stay away order of protection. And yeah, my aunt was the only place that I can go to at that time. She was like 10 minutes away from me when I was living at that house with this problematic roommate of mine, which I no longer have to worry about that. Hallelujah. While I was staying with my aunt, I did notice some fuckery going on. And the first thing was these intensive and vivid dreams that I was having with her in them, either hearing her voice or seeing her in the dreams. And it was even to the point where I used to have sleeping paralysis. Boy, that is going to be one long story. And it's not going to be able to fucking cover this video either. I might have to do like parts of it. Also, just remembered, I still got to complete my part 4 for my spiritual journey and how I, embarked into that. I haven't forgotten. And while I was staying with this bitch, I was doing vocational training to become a pharmacy technician because I have not worked for a while. Where I was living with my ex-boyfriend, I went to school full-time, and I did do vocational training at one point where this one was for a physical therapy aide. But that didn't work out because then he ended up putting me out, where I was going from place to place. But while I was there training to do the pharmacy technician program, I remember where I was near to having to take the exam, and my aunt had forced me to come over to her daughter's place, or my cousin's, where her daughters had their birthday. Though I told my aunt that I did not want to go because I had to study. But she definitely crossed over my boundaries and forced me to go. And that'll be further explained into the part 2 of the next video. Moving on to where we had Thanksgiving in 2021, where my sister finds out that she miscarried. She found out that she was pregnant around my birthday of that year. Then my mother ended up getting the pneumonia type of COVID. And then my cousin, male cousin, mind you, he ended up getting sick with COVID. He didn't know what it was at first. He was just not feeling well. He ended up with a fever. And then I would say when it was my first day starting my job, and this is after the whole vocational training was done with, where she was telling me to get a ride through my cousin. And this was on the same exact day where he goes to an urgent care, gets tested for COVID, and he was tested positive. So I already knew, yep, this is going to be me next. I hate to say this, but I'm feeling very fatigued. It's around 12:59, and this has got to be one of the most difficult videos that I'm making. I think I did mention that in the beginning of the video. So I'm going to have to make a part 2. And also, I don't know how many parts this is going to be for this, but yeah, this might be a series. So until next time, guys, yeah, I need to get some sleep. So later.